married for 13 years. Sometimes things can get stale, right? So how do you mix romance in there? How do you make romance a priority, or do you? I mean, I've done a few of these interviews now, and some of them were just like, we don't. You know, it is what it is. But is that something that you guys make a priority of?
I would say we make time for each other. So like I said, I think we have a unique situation because we both work from home. So although our offices are separate, because in our last place we shared an office, and we deemed that was not
A good idea.
a good idea. No, not at all. So our new requirement was that we had to have room for 2 offices. But we're home together, so if we're both home, a lot of times we'll come and eat lunch together, or we'll go out to lunch together, because the kids are at school. School time is fantastic. Especially after tax season, I'll take a few days off. We will go nap, we will like just do nothing together. I think something that we've finally gotten okay with was what was our version of romance, and what do we want to do versus the pressure of this is what society says is romantic and like what we're supposed to be doing right now. So you always felt that kind of pull of, I just want to sit on the couch and let's binge watch movies together and snuggle up and watch TV together, and being okay with that and not feeling like, oh, we're just old fogies, which we are young old fogies, but you know, that we don't have to go out to the club, or we don't have to go out and do stuff. We do it, but we don't have to. We're okay with just being together. So for us, I think, you mentioned love languages, I think like actual just time together and skin contact together and just laying together, doing something together is fine. We've talked about date nights. We haven't gotten there yet.
You gotta make it work when it works.
Yeah, we're tired, man. We just have all the businesses and the kids are running around. We're just like, I just want to lay down.
And now your daughters are doing gymnastics, right?
The oldest one is in gymnastics. The youngest one was doing soccer, and now she just started karate. Well, she's still figuring out what her sport is.
So that has you running all over the place. Yeah, we just have one with Christian. We have one, and his calendar is busier than ours, so I can totally understand where you're coming from. So
yeah.
So you talked about skin contact.
That's
So
good.
how important is sex in the marriage? You talk about you guys being tired all the time. How do you prioritize it, or does it just happen naturally, or do you even have to prioritize it?
It's a combination. So sex is very important. It is very important. I think probably more important for him than it is for me, but for the whole house to be happy, it's very important. Okay. Okay, there's some snappiness on his end, and you feel more distant. I think when you don't, and there have been a few times where a longer stretch, you just feel like, start to feel like roommates. Like,
Yes.
oh,
Yes.
hey buddy, over there.
Yeah. The busyness of paying the
Yeah.
bills and running businesses take over, and running the
Take
kids
over.
everywhere, and then it's just like, oh yeah, we're married, huh?
Yeah. Like, there's more to this than just splitting bills, right? No. So again, we're fortunate. We're home a lot. So when it's not as busy and the kids are at school, we have time. We also made sure early on with the kids that, one, they don't sleep in our bed. Okay, they've been out of bed since they were babies. Like, they're really sick, or, you know, they really had a bad dream, they can come in, you know, that's perfectly fine. They generally leave back out again. They also have a bedtime, and it's not a late bedtime. Our 12-year-old still she is super tired at 8:30. She's like, I'm still tired. So they go to bed 8:30, and then we have the rest of the evening. So we kind of made sure in the beginning that we had us time, by scheduling them and making sure that they were down. And then we can do whatever we want in that us time. Sometimes we're really tired, but then, you know, sometimes you push through. We don't really schedule anything though. So it's always just,
It happens.
it happens. But we have the time. We make sure there's the time. Works out.
So, you mentioned that Tim might get a little snappy when too much time has passed. I can understand that. I've been there.
You've seen that.
No, I've done it.
No,
I'm
I know.
usually the one.
Oh, are you the one that's snapping?
It's like, yeah,
Hello.
hello, right. So, have you guys, how do you approach a difficult issue? Like when something comes up and it's not going to be an easy subject, it's going to cause an argument of some sort. How do you approach that?
Depending on the issue, I would say we're still working on timing. So you know how you think about it and you're like, I'm going to mention this later, but then you just don't and you mention it right then. I still do that sometimes. I think we rarely go like, let's have a talk. We talk a lot, we communicate a lot throughout the day. If it's really difficult, if I'm trying to bring up something, I try to do it in a not a blaming or accusatory manner as best I can. But more from of like, this is how I feel. We've really worked on communication throughout this whole thing, and even when we were in high school, I think we started out working on it really young.
Wow.
Because we would get together, we'd break up, we'd get together, we'd break up, and we just realized, we're like, what's going on? Because even when we broke up, we would still talk, like every day. It was not really broken up. And we do just fine. And then we get together and things would start unraveling. So we really learned that we have to tell each other what we're feeling, like figure out what those expectations are that we're feeling and try to communicate them openly and honestly. And then try to listen to each other on what we're saying. So really, I will admit sometimes it bubbles up and we have an argument. But although we make it loud, our arguments are normally really expressing how we feel. Like we're never arguing where we're putting the other person down or calling them names or doing it in a hurtful way. It's more or less, I really wanted this. And expressing loudly. We try our best, but just sometimes it just boils up. And I think with women, we don't compartmentalize. So something may not have really been bugging you, but after the 7 things that happened before it, now it busts to the surface. And it's like, it's not this. It's this plus this plus this plus this plus this made this a whole big issue. And trying to explain that to him as well. That
once you've boiled over, it's hard to do because you've allowed this pent up frustration to come to the top, so it makes it that much harder.
Yeah.